much.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for joining. Very interesting topic. Albeit I have to say that everything's on the cloud, and this is a topic that's very close to my heart because I see my daughter has started her master's from another city. She's with us in Delhi, and she's studying on the cloud too, which is online. And I can see my other daughter also kind of studying online, and it's something that I've been trying to understand and struggle with because very often I hear this. My wife, I live with an academician. My wife's a teacher, so I keep hearing that this is practically a 0 year, but I'm so glad that they gave me this panel to do so that I can understand from my perspective also. And B schools is, the B school area is something critical because it's a huge, every education year is a foundation year. But, the B school course, whether it's 2 years or 3 years, really prepares you for the future. Okay. And I kind of wanted to understand, and I'm sure our audiences also want to understand where we're headed and where we're going. I want to kind of focus on the current times, gentlemen, and what's kind of happening in the past 6 months. So who do I start with? Dr. Tripathi, you're the first one who's flashing on my screen. So with no preference, I'm not going alphabetically, age-wise, whatever. So since you're on my screen, I'll kind of start with you, Dr. Tripathi. And let me ask you, a lot has changed, okay? And I really want to focus on the current period because, we don't know where we are and how long it's going to last. One keeps hearing it's going to last for a long time. But tell me in your words, how has it changed and how much has it changed since COVID, So whether it was exams, whether it is, the way, students are being taught, how much has changed, because I've been an older generation, as you can see, a believer in personal touch and feel and, interaction. We managed to, I have to admit that, we managed to do a very good job, working from home. But when I look at the younger generation, I look at education, what has changed? As for now, the first question is what all has changed in these 6 months?
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. All the eminent panelists. Since morning, the deliberations have been going on. It has been a wonderful day. And Mr. Hoshie, Ghaswalla, to answer your question, it is very simple. I also belong to the generation, I think, to which you belong. And over there, we have started with chalk and talk initially. Then we moved to, transparency, acetats. Then we moved to PowerPoint. And we have been continuing with that as teachers. Students moved from library to e-library and now Google. The reading has, as a habit, has taken a backstage. Now nobody is reading, but all this possible because of technology. They're talking, VUCA is disruptive and it has created problems. No, it has really given us a lot of opportunity. I wish, where we are today would have been there long back. That would have been given a much more opportunity. There's no replacement to face-to-face learning. Due to this present COVID situation, the technology has helped us a lot in all the three fields. That is in terms of design, delivery, and evaluation of the curriculum. In design of the curriculum, actually, we took help of technology to such an extent that, two things we did basically. One, we recorded all the lectures and stored it in the cloud to give it to the students as and when it is required. The second thing what we did, all the classroom lectures, we started delivering on online platform. And let me sum it over here. When a lot of universities of state governments have been struggling as to what to do and what not to do to find a solution. And we went ahead and started our trimester also on time. And so much so that our first trimester examination is over and the second trimester will be starting from coming Monday, that is 19th. And the teachers and students, of course, there were initial glitches. We had to augment our technology platform. We had to undergo through a lot of practice sessions to make ourselves really familiar with the online platform. But it is all possible because of the technology support. And therefore, I say technology is an enabler. In the morning, Dr. Anurag was saying that anybody from anywhere, the technology helped us in getting into that kind of situation. the faculty members, are from different spectrum. That is, we have got our regular faculty, we have got faculty from various industries, some alumni also are there, and more importantly, we belong to Kirloskar's group, and the executives who are experienced and experts in the respective areas of specialization. We could take their help in delivering online classroom sessions. It is all because of technology. More interestingly, we went ahead with a review of our curriculum also for preparing for the next year batch. And in that, a lot of industry personnel participated only on digital platform, which we have never thought of. The only thing which we did, that of course we did it as a reactionary mode, not a proactive fashion. But I think COVID has changed our complete perspective. As we used to teach traditionally, as we used to evaluate traditionally, as we used to design our course traditionally. Now, with a reactionary mode, as a reaction to COVID, to cope with the new normal, we have done it. But obviously, this is going to be the trendsetter. In future, technology is going to play a bigger role in terms of all the three things, that is in terms of delivery, design and evaluation of the courses. Because of this technological revolution, I would like to submit that we can take full advantage, not only the Kirloskar Institute of Management I'm talking about, the entire B School fraternity can take a big advantage of it. I think we can think in terms of in a different perspective and try to see whether this 2 years PGDM program is really required to be the duration. Possibly part of it can be delivered. The first part, we have got general courses. These courses can be delivered online, and the courses of second year, when it comes to specializations, the students can come to the classroom, from virtual classroom to the real classroom. The benefit of this would be, the institute, which are standalone institutes like us, they will benefit immensely in terms of making optimum utilization of their infrastructure, the human resources, everything. And AICT, I think, will be the right authority. I think this is a platform from which we can talk about. And the second thing which I have been thinking, that in terms of being proactive, this PGDM curriculum was revised in January 2018 by the review committee headed by Dr. Bhimrai Matri. It is the right time to, I think, very appropriate to go for a revision of our PGDM curriculum, where we can go for a both synchronous and asynchronous delivery of the curriculum, and also make much more of it move to the digital platform, so that the students become much more employable and industry friendly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tripathi. I'd like to move to Mr. Raman. Okay, what's on the same question and with what Dr. Tripathi added, what would you like to kind of say in the interest of time? I'm sure there would be areas that you agree with Mr. Tripathi, but what's your perspective on this entire thing?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ghaswalla, for this opportunity given. See, this pandemic has thrown all B schools to go forcefully online. It is not by choice, but it is by design, that you have no option but to go for it. It has brought in plus and minus. The plus point is, you're able to continue with your curriculum. You're able to impart education. You can get going. But the minus is also there with it. Okay, and hence all students are not happy going online. Like when I'm in a classroom, I possibly can see this way and that way. But if I'm in an online classroom, the moment I'm turning this way, the person who's going to speak there thinks I'm not listening. So look at the amount of stress that it puts on the student, that you'll have to constantly watch the camera and keep nodding. And there are people who are trying to cheat that also by creating some virtual screens and putting up where someone is nodding on, and the fellow is doing whatever he wants. Even that's happening because the kids are smart, they know how to go and beat the system. Remember one thing that I always believe: culture, teamwork, humility, all can't be taught in the classroom, online or offline. You'll have to be on the campus. You'll have to be there to experience the journey called MBA or PGDM. Only then that person becomes a fully grounded a person who's equipped with all that knowledge and skill sets when he can go and hit the ground running when he's going to join an organization, right? So this is a temporary phase, and the temporary phase is remaining temporary. The whole point is that we do not know how temporary it's going to be, whether it's going to be November, December, January, we do not know, but it's a temporary phase. When the vaccine is out and people are a little more relaxed, where the parents and the children are ready to come back, this will change. Once this changes, we have learned a lot. This has given a great opportunity to bring in profs from abroad into my classroom, which otherwise they were hesitating. They're telling, oh, is it going to be online? But now this has become a training ground where I have brought about 24 profs from all across the globe into the classroom to address and teach the students. Fantastic. Look at the amount of money that would have been spent otherwise to go and get them. You know, especially the fatigue in terms of travel, stay, all that is humongous. So that's a big positive to get people into the classroom from any part of the globe. But it has also put in a lot of stress on the students when it comes to going online. We have our placements going online, and it's putting a lot of stress on the students because you're going to be sitting in the home and the parents are going to see there, and then there's going to be a lot of stress. Okay, first, second, in fact, we have completed almost 75% of our summers. Incidentally, today is day 2 of my summer placements, and it's a lot of stress for my students there sitting, all around the clock. So it has brought in plus and minus, but I am a strong believer that when you're going to have this as a mode, it can only help you do some things differently. It cannot do away with the offline presence of the program. That's writing on the wall, according to me. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Rai. Okay, so I kind of agree with both of you. Sorry, but with all respect, Dr. Tripathi, I think Mr. Raman brought in a lot of points that were resonating in my mind. Hand over to Mr. Rai.
Okay. My experience has been similar, except I would, instead of repeating what Dr. Tripathi and Dr. Raman have already said, I'll just add a couple of things. So first of all, I think technology, I agree with Dr. Tripathi, it's an enabler and we need to leverage technology. For us at IIM Indore, it was not a new thing because in any case, we had a lot of online programs. What this COVID has done, it has simply accelerated some of the processes that were already in place. So that is number one. Number two, what this COVID has also taught us, that technology can never be a substitute for the in-class training, like what Dr. Raman pointed out, because by now my students they're anxious. They're anxious to come back and start students. My faculty is also going crazy because how long do you actually keep teaching a camera? And they really want to see the students out there, because when you have a class full of students, that's where you draw your energy from. And more importantly, now this is slightly counterintuitive, Hoshie, because not many people would think that way. So I was speaking at the Dean's Conference of AMBA, and there were about 200 odd deans from all over the world, and I was one of the keynote speakers. And one of the things that came out during that conference was that the percentage of the faculty who are comfortable with this transfer from an in-class mode to the online mode is higher than the percentage of students who are comfortable with it. Now, this is counterintuitive because you would imagine that the students would be far more comfortable with technology. Students would be far more comfortable with going online. But you have to look at the other side of it. You see, a long time back, we started saying in the good business schools that we will not call them students, but they are going to be participants. And the entire pedagogy will have to be participant-centric and not teacher-centric. So we are not the centers of attention, but the participant is the focal point. But when it comes to technology, while we may have the best of the things at our disposal, we may have the best of the equipment, we may have a great bandwidth, so on and so forth, what we have to understand is, do the students have the same? Do the students have that kind of a bandwidth to actually take advantage of this online mechanism? Do the students also have the equipment? Because what we fail to understand, or perhaps at least some of us fail to understand, is that in many places, you may just have one laptop and the entire family may be sharing that laptop, or maybe 2 laptops being shared by 4 or 5 other people. And therefore, if you have classes throughout the day, if you have some of the other engagements throughout the day, it becomes a big problem. And then we know that, forget, somebody was talking about 5G in the previous panel discussion, forget 5G, the 4G doesn't work. And therefore, to assume that everything would be hunky-dory at the other end was something which was, I guess, presumptuous. So I think this COVID has also taught us the limitations of technology, in so much as the situational context of our country is concerned. But at the same time, as I said, it has opened up new vistas. Some of the things which we thought were not possible are actually now possible. For example, some of the students' events have actually happened online, and they could get those speakers who wouldn't have physically wanted to travel at any given point of time, but they managed to come online. So pluses, minuses, yes, but on the whole, I'm desperately waiting for my students to come back to the campus. Back to you, Hoshie.
Thank you, Mr. Rai. I have to empathize with you. I did mention at the start that my wife is a teacher. So she teaches at a school that also does classes for the EWS, okay? And the point that you meant about the availability of technology, I keep telling her it breaks my heart every morning, because from 9 to 10, she takes those classes, and then she teaches for one of the top 3 schools in India. And then she goes to those other kids, and these kids actually attend class. They have one single mobile at home. And one day I got to know it was a laborer's child who was attending the class on the road, from the site. So yeah, it's got its ups and downs. So I just wish everyone had access to technology. Do we have Professor Vijaya Gupta with us? I can't see Professor Gupta on the screen. Anupam, Prerna, would you know? Professor Gupta, are you here? Okay, I don't. Okay, that leads us to an all-men panel. Dr. Tripathi, let me come to you. You said same generation, all of it. So you can call me Hoshie, please. Just like I love Himanshu for saying that. So I'd love to be just called Hoshie. Okay, doesn't remind me of my age. Okay. Personal, I started by saying this. Personal touch, feel, all of it. Now, there is a certain part of the B school curriculum which would mean interacting with organizations, either interning there, working on projects, everything that requires personal touch. Okay, this is a very tech friendly generation, and how do you today compensate for that? My daughter's doing masters at a certain institute out of Bombay. We are based in Delhi. And I was very gung-ho about the whole thing because, more than 50% of the time was supposed to be in practical work on the field. It's disappeared for now. It's the first term, but I hope it comes back. Okay, how do you compensate for that? And the other issue related to it is, we find kids coming, even into our organization, very highly qualified, but lacking, basic skills, interaction, team building, communication. So, you might have done very well, but that without that human touch, okay, it becomes very difficult. So how do you, and this question is for all, for all 3 of you again. So it's a common question. So, would you like to go first? Dr. Tripathi, please go first.
Yeah. Thanks, Mr. Hoshie. I agree with Professor Raman and Professor Roy. I stick to my first sentence that technology is just an enabler. It is not a replacement to classroom sessions. It is not possible. There is no way, in one sentence I can answer it, there is no way you can compensate the classroom sessions. It is a must. If you go back long ago, actually, if you are talking about 70s, basically, if you see the classrooms, the role of teacher, the relationship, the bonding between the students and the teacher, and the learning of the student from the teacher, from not only from the classroom, even outside the classroom. Look at the much more earlier than that. Look at the Gurukul system also. Everywhere the significance of classroom teaching is there. So a lot of things you cannot learn virtually. It is not possible. Feelings, emotions, body language. If you talk business schools, grooming the students in terms of their from the point of view of their employability. Basically, I'm talking of grooming up. I'm talking of soft skills. Very difficult to transfer through technology platform. Digitally, it cannot be done. We cannot compensate. I would like to submit both eminent panelists would agree to that. We have got the system of summer internship placement. We call it business immersion program. Business immersion program. Companies used to come and interact with the students in campus. They used to really, live projects from Kirloskar group of companies. They used to come and interact with the students over here, and they used to evaluate them on their soft skills also, which is not possible on the digital platform. And the SIPs were offered, but the students were asked to either defer it completely, or they had to do some desk-based research. So it is a replacement. It is just a stopgap arrangement. Through the help of technology, we could just cope with it because it's part of the curriculum. But if you ask me, as Professor Raman says, very, very interestingly, and Professor Rai also very emotionally puts it, we're still waiting, desperately thinking that the students are going to come today or tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you.
Because this is not because we are very so much close to tradition, no. But we all realize that there is no replacement to the classroom teaching. The teacher-students bonding is, it is something which is different. Even today, if you ask, there might be around 1,000 alumni who might be in touch with me, who have passed out under me on my earlier assignments. And it is all because due to the personal bonding, not through these virtual classrooms. I'm sorry to say, I hope I'm agreeable to.
No, absolutely. I with me. Mr. Raman, let me just add here to, virtual learning, whatever year would be good if you were going on to become a programmer or a developer or, work on a tech job, whilst Dr. Tripathi talks of bonding the teacher, student bonding, which for me also, I can still remember my teachers and, the kind of influence that's kind of going to not be there for the current period. What one is talking about the overall development, which kind of happens when people meet, because, social skills, networking, all of it. So can you comment on this?
Yeah, true. See, as I already told, that culture can't be taught in online and offline classes. Teamwork, humility can't be taught in online, offline classes. But this pandemic has thrown up not only for education institutions, for even the corporate, a lot of challenges, and they were also not geared for this one. So they changed, they learned, they were quick. And there are corporates who are making sweeping changes in all their policies. Work from home is almost becoming a norm. Companies have found this as a way to cut down costs. There are organizations which are told that, hey, look, my 50% of workforce will now work from home. There are banks which are thinking that why should I have so much space? Why can't I reduce my square foot space, save on rent, and make people, part of them who are working in the back office, back home? Organizations like Microsoft are taking a stand telling we will make our workforce work from home. So these are changes that are happening in the corporate. When this is going to happen, this is not a short-term temporary phase. It's going to be a permanent one. Here is the advantage for B schools. Now, this is an excellent opportunity for me to train and impart that skill sets that's needed for work from home. Tomorrow, if my particular student is going to land up in such a job, it will not be something new for him. So here is an opportunity. In every crisis, there is an opportunity. And here is an opportunity for me to train them, telling what are the etiquettes if you're going to be online. Now, if I'm going to talk about online, I am branding SIBM Pune even in this show. It's a part of etiquette that I am teaching my student. Make opportunities of that which you have. Right? Second, when you're going to be online, there are online etiquettes to be followed as far as communication is concerned. You know how it is difficult to stand and speak to a camera continuously. Here is an opportunity of such presentation skills which can be imparted, where someone has to continuously look at a camera and keep speaking, which otherwise will be a pressure for them to learn if they're going to be back on campus. So these are a few examples which I have quoted, where we take this as an opportunity, make them learn this, and ensure that they are good at it, and possibly prepare them for that future which other organizations are looking at, telling I'm going to have my 50% of workforce to work from home. Is your workforce ready for that, Raman? I say yes, we have trained for that as well. So I am looking at this as an opportunity for all those skill sets which are now necessary. For example, I say be dressed for the show. I mean, initially when these online classes started, people thought, hey, it's from home. I can sit down however I want. I can be in a t-shirt and a shorts. How things are going to be different. But I say, no, you'll have to mean the business. You might be online, but if it's going to be a meeting, it's going to be a meeting. Simple. Be dressed for the show. Look out for that place. It should not have noise, and ensure you do a good job there. Now, these are skill sets. Otherwise, is so difficult. Now we can say, hey, look, we have recorded this section. These are the mistakes. Correct them. So there are several softer aspects that come in hand when it's going to be an online session, right? So here is an opportunity for me to train my students, impart that knowledge and skill set which is needed in team management, communication, presentation skills, etc., when it's going to be an online mode of delivery when they get into a corporate. I'll not be surprised if you're going to have board meetings that's going to happen online. Possibly might become a norm, because there is huge amount of money that gets in, and people are going to fly between 6 countries to a place, stay for 2-3 days in a star hotel and go back. Possibly it might be a norm that it's going to be only on an online platform. In fact, many companies do that even now. So that if it becomes a norm, then it will not be something like my student is led into a dark room where he's going to figure out that. They are already prepared. So this is the positive side that I see that this pandemic has given in training them on soft skills, teamwork, presentation skills, etc. That's 2 cents from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Himanshu, love your inputs on this.
Yeah. So, I have a slightly a difficult question which I'm asking to myself. I mean, what Dr. Raman pointed out is a fact. And in fact, one of the companies has actually gone ahead and said that they're going to allow people to work from home for life. And this was a statement which has come just yesterday by companies that is actually named.
I read that.
I'm
there
not
are quite
sure.
a few companies who said it over the last 40-50 days.
Absolutely. And to me, it's slightly problematic. I mean, Dr. Raman has already pointed out the positive sides. And clearly, of course, if you look at education, then you have 3 components of education: knowledge, skills, and attitude. While knowledge and part of the skills can be imparted through technology and in the online mode, part of the skills and attitudes cannot be actually given through technology or in an online mode. That is one. Second, there's another thing that people kind of fail to see, and that is that good learning in a good business school does not happen only from this side of the classroom. A lot of learning happens because of the interaction between the peer group. So when you have a bunch of 60, 70 odd super smart people, men and women sitting in a classroom, the kind of interactions that they have, that adds to their knowledge, that of course adds to the camaraderie as well. But that is one part of the story. We're talking purely about the technical part of the story and about the dissemination of education and absorption of the learning part. I have a slightly more, a deeper problem, and that is work from home to me cannot be a solution. Why? Because I have anecdotal evidence. So I have to say, I don't have real data. I have not done analysis, but I have anecdotal evidence, something that I've seen personally since all my board meetings so far, Dr. Raman, have actually happened online, the last 2 board meetings. One of the things that I've noticed is that people have lost that sense of difference between home and work, and that's psychologically disturbing. And a lot of people have had psychological issues. The number of my students, and not just students, the number of my other community members who are actually consulting with counselors has gone up. It has shot up drastically. So clearly there is an issue. Number 2, people have lost this sense of time. So people assume that simply because I'm home, I'm available all the time. So my meetings start at 11. I used to be in the office otherwise at 8:30. But now nobody wants to have a meeting at 8:30 or 9 in the morning. They start their meetings at 11 in the morning, and then they don't mind having a meeting at 11 in the night, which is not time when I'm at my best personally. Now, that could be my personal problem as well, but I'm sure that many of us do have these issues where unless there's a separation of the professional life and the personal life, there could be certain issues. And the third thing is that the entire boundary of weekends is completely melted. It's almost that people assume that there are no Saturdays and Sundays, that you are home. I mean, so what? You should be available any which way. People expect emails to be answered in the middle of the night. People expect emails to be answered on Saturdays and Sundays. So I think we are talking about a much larger issue. Do we forget the fact that the pandemic has pushed us towards something? Do we want it? It's almost like that MasterCard advertisement. They said that for this, for everything else there's MasterCard. There are some things that money can't buy, but for everything there is MasterCard. Now my question is slightly different and slightly deeper. There are some things that money can't buy. Should we also have some things that money should not be allowed to buy? And that's a question of ethics. And likewise, I'm not too sure. I don't have an answer right now, but I think we need to ask this question: should work from home be allowed to become normal, even by the organizations? To me, as of now, the answer seems to be no. This can't be it, because it is going to have a lot of social and cultural ramifications. It will have a lot of ramifications even for family lives, and I'm not too thrilled about this. Back to you, Hoshie.
I am in agreement.
Mr. Hoshie, can I add something here? It was a very interesting point that Dr. Himanshu has brought in. That's fantastic. In fact, it's excellent point that he mentioned that is that what we need? Is this the right way to go about? That's a fantastic point. But let me also bring in a couple of things here. See, in the IT sector, work from home has been a norm for quite some time, right? From say 2005-6 on, work from home as a culture started in the IT companies. Where someone sitting at the home logs in, they have mechanisms to monitor it, and then it keeps going. So over a period of time, that has evolved, and people understand that the time closes generally at about 7:15 they close, and as he rightly told, 8:39 they start. But the new ones who are getting into this one as an online way of working, for them, this is not something which is acceptable, and this is something confusing. That, as rightly put by Dr. Rai, that they think you're there. It's there, and they're there every time, 24/7. Hey, it's a holiday, man, and what are you doing? Is what some people even think. It's not work from home. It's it's a holiday, and you're just working there. Is what some people think. And when I was looking into some data here, I'm talking about around 10 years back, I was doing a small study for which I was collecting some data, and it was found that the number of divorce that happens is highest in Bangalore and Hyderabad. I am talking about year 2007-8. Okay, I'm not talking now. And in that study, there is someone who's telling that because the thin line is lost when work from home becomes a norm for IT, then home doesn't remain home; it becomes office. So everything of office is at home. So that creates more confusion. And when both husband and wife are working, it creates all the more pressure and tension and confusions. And this was one of the study which was telling that one of the reasons leading for a higher number of divorces in Hyderabad and Bangalore. I'm talking about year 2008-9. Okay, so which is also worrisome. If that's going to be the study which is for an IT sector in 2008-9, we are in 2020 now, and if organizations are going to take up that as a norm, what's going to happen? It's going to be a lot of chaos there, and the thin line between the office and the home is lost when it's work from home, because corporates don't understand that, and it's so demanding. So that's going to be a complete different ball game and a tough one to deal. So I completely agree to Dr. Rai's statements that he made, that it's something which we have to think, and organizations also has to think, and there should be something which should come as norm instead of expecting a person to be there answering an email or attend a meeting at about 9:30 in the night, right? Yeah. Thank you.
So Dr. Raman, I want to add to what you kind of said. 2004, 2005, I think prior to that, the technology sector allowed work from home because we were doing a lot of work internationally and connectivity solutions had begun to come. But do bear in mind that it was a lot more disciplined that time because it was not all work from home. So it was hardly 10, 15, 20% people worked from home. So it worked in the 7-15 cutoff. And, I'm glad you brought that up, Himanshu, because I have to tell you, I'm very conscious that the lines have been blurred. We are working Saturday, Sunday. We don't know what time we take meeting. I don't like taking meetings beyond 7:30 in the evening. And I consciously decided that I would not do a meeting beyond that, because about 2 months ago, apparently I said something in a meeting at about 9 o'clock in the evening, which I have no memory of. Okay. I don't function at that time in the night. Okay. And then I called people and apologized, and I said, I'm sorry. And, I actually still don't believe I could have said what was said. But having said that, whilst I'm very aware that, I have to draw these boundaries and not work on, Sundays and all of it. Last Sunday, I got up in the morning. Strangely, Sundays, I get up earlier. 6:45, I saw my laptop sitting, then I started working. Okay. Now that's something that also, and that's not the time that business world operates. We are a little sleepy organization. We start at 10. But okay, so let's just come back to, be school on the cloud and work from home. And I have actually two last questions, but I'm going to merge them into one. How leniently are you all going to evaluate students of this year? Okay, the ones that come out, or the ones, the current batch, assuming that this gets done by March, April, okay, is the evaluation going to be kind of different? Is it going to be more lenient? Number one. Number two is, do you see a difference in the mettle of these students this year as compared to students who had what I would call a natural education, a physical education? And Dr. Tripathi, let's start with you. So, there are two questions. Would you consider, would you adjust your ratings, your parameters to evaluate students who've been through this year? And second is, do you see any difference in, how they will perform in life as compared to, especially the final year ones, as compared to people who studied or will study in a physical world?
Thank you so much, Mr. Hoshie. For the first question is concerned, my answer is that, right at the beginning, I was trying to tell you that we are through with the first trimester and fourth trimester examination. The evaluation process is going on. And we conducted the exam on online proctoring model. And it has both actually, open book and MCQs, both the forms we used. And leniency is something which is not going to be there. That's the first thing. It is because it matches with the delivery which we have given. That is not a problem on that. We have already mapped it in terms of Bloom's taxonomy. We have done whatever activities to be done much more prior to delivery. At the design level, we have done that. That is one thing. Second thing, if we were talking about this batch of students, we found the faculty members, we found them really much better than earlier batch. But due to COVID, the students are really not feeling so comfortable at all. As both Professor Himanshu Rai and Dr. Raman both have been telling also, they have been really restless because being at home and writing an exam from home, studying from home, and everything, working from home, everything from home, and not from campus, missing the peer learning. It has created a lot of problems with their psychological states and processes. We are hoping that sometimes by December or November, and there is a rumor that Maharashtra being Maharashtra that to Pune being actually the hotspot of COVID. There is some kind of talk going on that by November and post Diwali students might come. We are hoping for that, and at least the last trimester will be delivering in the classroom mode.
Thank you, Dr. Tripathi. Dr. Raman, you're on mute.
Thank you. Yeah. So answering both the questions, one is about the evaluation part of it. The second is how different this batch is going to be. See, evaluation is always something where we try to find out if they know what they have learned. That is the objective. That is all the objective. So the moment I'm going to say that, you have to go and answer these questions online, the students, if they want to go and cheat, they can cheat. So we are making gamification of evaluation a reality using this pandemic. So it's going to be a game, and they're going to play the game and they get evaluated. And there are plethora of tools which are helping us do the gamification of evaluation. So as far as the learning is concerned, that is got by gamification, because this generation are all gung-ho about gaming, right? So I would say almost 90% of my batch are going to play the game, and the evaluation happens. One part of evaluation happens where I test whether they know. That is the knowing part of it. Right? Then the application part of it, we are making it a mandate to spend about 5 to 10 minutes as an interaction with each student, where we are going to evaluate that portion of evaluation where we try to find out whether they are able to apply. So these two will become that the evaluation is intact. There should not be any problem whether it is valid, have they cheated, all that, because it's gamified and they are going to compete with each other in the game and get evaluated. So that is as far as the evaluation is concerned. Now, second part, are they going to miss out, especially the second years, as you mentioned? In fact, this blessing in disguise, the thing which I'd say is all this started only in March, where they have completed their 1 year. So that is the second year students had 1 year in my campus, right? So they have had it. So once the campus opens, they'll still have about 5-6 months with me, right, on campus. This is what hopefully I'm optimistically thinking. And as far as the first years are concerned, they're going to have another 1 year with me. So thankfully, we are not a 1 year MBA program as it is offered in some parts of UK. We are a 2 year MBA program. So thankfully, all the students will have at least a year to spend with me to get all that they get while they are in the campus, in the classroom, connecting, peer learning, blah, blah. All that is going to happen both for the first years, and it has already happened to some extent for my second year students. So they are not going to lose out per se on anything. We will do everything possible for that to happen. Adding to that, last one, we are also extending our semester. Initially, we used to close by March, April. Now it will get extended. We'll go till May, June. So they don't lose out on that time as well. Instead of keeping a hard stop there, we are trying to extend that so that they get the benefit. Yeah, that's what is in plans from SIBM. Yeah.
Himanshu.
Yeah, so it's the same answer in general, in the sense that there's no question of it being lenient or tougher. It's just going to be appropriate. So you use horses for courses. So whatever this particular online methodology requires, we use the appropriate assessment tools. Of course, some of the assessment tools which are in there in an in-class mode may not be applicable over here. But I'll use this opportunity to actually talk to all the students who are listening to this. Listen and remember one thing: you don't want to be labeled as the COVID batch, and therefore make this a point of view. Make sure that you focus on this thing, because many a times it looks like an easy thing to ask for, that, hey, look, things are not good, things are not fine at our end, so on and so forth. So the institution should be lenient, do away with the exams, maybe you can promote everyone, so on and so forth. Please remember, the moment we do this, ultimately we are preparing all of you to pick up positions of responsibility. And who will give you the positions of responsibility if they believe that you have not been assessed in life, that you have not been tested in life? Life is going to test you any which way. So it's far more better to get tested here in an institution where you are in a safe environment, rather than being tested by life, because life is not going to give you a second opportunity. An institution will always give you a second opportunity. An institution is always going to stand behind you and hold your hand and help you in sorting out a lot of problems. So I'm going to use this opportunity to put this message ahead as well. And therefore, that is precisely the reason why we wouldn't let the academic standards brought down. Of course, we look at the convenience part. Of course, for example, let's say if there's a connectivity issue and if we have to render the online exam, again, we would do that. We will give a re-exam to everybody who needs it genuinely. But we are certainly not going to drop the academic standards. That is one. Two, as Dr. Raman pointed out, we do have a 1 year MBA as well. So therefore, apart from the 2 year MBA, but the good thing that we did was that we brought those students to the campus any which way. So we don't have physical classes because that has not yet been allowed by the government, but we have students in the campus. And in any case, what we did at IIM Indore was, and we were the first ones to actually do it, was we spoke to our students and said, whoever has problems, major problems in terms of bandwidth, please come down to the campus. Of course, it was a choice which was given to them, and some of those who lived in far-flung areas, they actually came down to the campus. We have a good SOP, and touch wood, nobody has had any health issues so far. So in fact, by the end of October, we'll have another almost 200 odd students coming in. And in November, perhaps another 150 to 200 students coming in. We are, of course, being very, very cautious, and we are being very we're making sure that the SOPs are in place and they're being followed, because what happens is that after some time, you start feeling a little relaxed. And in any case, most of us humans believe that we are immortals till something happens to somebody very close to us, and only then the mortality kind of hits us. So the mask, which was covering everything, then the nose starts poking out, and then slowly it starts hanging on your ears rather than being on your face, so on and so forth. So we make sure that we come down very heavily on such acts, or what we call the misdemeanors. But what I have seen, Hoshie, is that this batch is not going to be, we'll make sure that this batch is not going to be any different from any of the other batches that have come out of IIM Indore. And more so, in fact, this batch is going to be far more resilient because they have learned both ways. And one final thing, when we were talking about this entire thing, that work from home could have these consequences, and I pointed out some of the negative consequences. Please also remember, work from home also leads to inequity. The four of us sitting over here are privileged people. We perhaps have houses which are big enough for, if at all we had more family members, for them to be working in. Imagine people living in Mumbai in a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom flat with 4 people. How's everybody going to work from home? How are you going to work from home and have your kids attend their sessions when you're living in a 1-bedroom apartment? And therefore, talking about work from home, a lot of, I have seen, when I lived in Bombay for 2 years, I was heading an Italian business school in their campus. And I had a CCD bang opposite my house. And I saw many people actually working from CCDs. Right from morning 9 till evening 5, they would be there taking calls on their headphones and doing everything. In fact, holding their meetings there. And some of them perhaps use this untruth for whatever reason. So I'm not going to sit in moral judgment, but they would say that I'm not in my office, but I'm close to this place, so why don't we have a meeting here? When I knew fully well that I see this person every evening sitting over here. So when we have issues like this, when we have this kind of an inequality, work from home simply doesn't work. Back to you, Hoshie.
Thank you. Well said. Okay, can we do a Twitter kind of response? I have one question. I want to sneak in one question, and we've got 2 minutes, and then we've got the valedictory address. So literally a Twitter kind of response. What is the online campus placement looking like right now? Real picture. Dr. Tripathi. Is it the same? Is it lesser? Is it more? Is it tougher? You are on mute. Huh?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Hoshie. There have been companies who have been coming to us. There are regular recruiters. In terms of additions, in fact, we find a lot of new additions to it in terms of people actually who have started their companies 10 years, 15 years back. But the demand is more on the service side, not on the manufacturing side.
Dr. Raman.
Yeah, it's too early for me for the final placements because we don't open placements now. For us, it's a day zero process. We are having our summers now. Summers are looking good. There are new sectors which are opening up. Pharma, medical equipments, that's opening up very well. There are a few sectors which are not doing so good, especially the automotive sector. Some parts of financial sector not doing good. Some of them are rocking, especially the FMCG ones. The conglomerates are doing very good. That's as far as the summers are concerned. Too early to comment on finals, but we've got encouraging PPOs and PPIs based on the summers for the second year students. Yeah.
Thank you. Himanshu.
So for us, summers there's absolutely no difference so far as summers are concerned. And in the final placements, a very interesting pattern that the percentage of PPOs has gone up substantially. So it's a pre-placement offers that the companies make because they would rather give the offers to the students that they had seen in the summers rather than go through the entire process of placement. So overall, I think the placement scene is going to be the same.
Thank you.